For an entire generation of kids growing up in the mid to late 2000s, Webkinz was not just a game. It was a daily habit, a digital responsibility, and often the first online world that felt personal and alive. Webkinz existed at a very specific moment in internet history, when the web was becoming central to childhood but still felt safe and contained. It combined physical toys, online play, routine, and imagination in a way that felt endlessly engaging. At its peak, Webkinz was one of the most successful toy and online entertainment brands in the world. Today, it still technically exists, but its cultural dominance has faded almost entirely. The story of Webkinz is not just about a game losing popularity. It's about how childhood, technology, and the internet itself changed. Webkinz was created by KinzCash, a Canadian company that had already spent decades producing plush toys. In 2005, KinzCash introduced a simple but innovative idea. Each plush Webkinz toy would come with a unique code that allowed the owner to adopt that pet online in Webkinz World. The physical toy was not just about merchandise, it was a key. Without the code, the online experience did not exist. This physical connection was groundbreaking at the time, especially for children. Owning the toy meant owning a digital life as well. When Webkinz was launched, the internet was still largely accessed through family desktop computers. Kids logged on after school or on weekends, often with limited screen time. This made Webkinz feel special. Time spent in Webkinz World felt earned and intentional. Parents trusted it because it was heavily moderated, with no open chat and strict safety controls. Kids loved it because it felt like a real online world without adult supervision hovering constantly in the background. Webkinz World itself was surprisingly complex. Players could adopt pets, design houses, earn KinzCash through arcade games, cook recipes, garden, fish, take classes at the Kinsville Academy, and participate in seasonal events. Pets had happiness meters that required attention. Rooms needed decorating. Daily activities rewarded consistency. Logging in every day mattered. This structure taught routine, responsibility, and delayed gratification, even if kids did not consciously realize it at the time. The plush toys were central to the experience. Each new pet extended a player's membership, which meant more access to features. This encouraged collecting. Kids wanted more pets, not just to own them physically, but to unlock more digital space. Certain pets came with exclusive items, rooms, or abilities. Some pets became status symbols. Rare Webkinz plush toys were highly sought after, traded, and sometimes hoarded. Entire social hierarchies formed around who had the most pets or the rarest items. By the late 2000s, Webkinz was everywhere. Toy stores dedicated entire aisles to it. Commercials ran constantly. Schools buzzed with conversations about new releases and secret recipes. Millions of accounts were active, and KinzCash reportedly sold hundreds of millions of plush toys. Webkinz was not just successful, it was culturally dominant within its age group. It became part of daily childhood life in the same way television cartoons or playground games once were. One of the reasons Webkinz worked so well was how it balanced structure with imagination. The world was controlled, but not boring. There were rules, but also freedom to decorate, name pets, and create personal spaces. Unlike many modern games, Webkinz was not focused on competition or winning. It was about maintaining a life. This made it comforting. The game did not rush players. It rewarded patience and routine rather than constant achievement. However, the internet was changing rapidly. As the 2010s approached, the rise of smartphones and tablets reshaped how kids interacted with technology. Games became mobile, fast-paced, and touch-based. Webkinz, which relied on Flash and desktop browsers, began to feel slow and outdated. Logging in required effort. The interface felt busy and cluttered compared to sleek mobile apps. At the same time, children's online culture shifted. Platforms like YouTube, Minecraft, Roblox, and later TikTok offered something Webkinz could not: creative freedom, open social interaction, and user-generated content. Kids could build worlds, record videos, and interact with massive communities. Webkinz, once praised for its safety, now felt restrictive. Its closed chat system and limited customization began to feel confining rather than comforting. Another major issue was aging out. The kids who grew up with Webkinz got older, and the game struggled to attract a new generation. Younger kids were less interested in plush toys tied to desktop games. Digital content became detached from physical ownership. Free-to-play games dominated, and the idea of buying a toy to access a game felt unnecessary. What once felt magical now felt inconvenient. Gans attempted to modernize. Webkinz X was introduced as an updated version of the original game with new visuals and features. Mobile apps followed. Eventually, Webkinz Next was launched as a full reimagining designed to appeal to modern audiences. These updates showed effort, but they created a problem. Longtime fans felt disconnected from the new style, while new players lacked nostalgia for the original. The updates pleased neither group fully. The shutdown of Adobe Flash in 2020 marked a symbolic and practical turning point. Flash had been the foundation of Webkinz world. While Gans transitioned the game to a desktop app, the change emphasized how much of Webkinz was tied to outdated technology. For many former players, the Flash shutdown felt like the official end, even though the game technically survived. What happened to Webkinz was not a dramatic collapse, it was a slow fading. Updates became less exciting. Player numbers declined quietly. The cultural conversation moved on. Unlike platforms that evolve with their audience, Webkinz remained tied to a specific era of childhood. When that era passed, its relevance faded with it. Despite this, Webkinz left a deep imprint. For many players, it was their first experience managing digital responsibility. Feeding pets, earning currency, decorating spaces, and logging in daily created habits that mirrored real-world routines. It also introduced children to virtual economies and long-term digital ownership at a time when these concepts were new. Webkinz also represented a more innocent phase of the internet. It existed before social media dominance, before constant algorithmic pressure, and before online identity became performative. There was no pressure to go viral or compete for attention. The experience was private, personal, and slow. This is part of why nostalgia for Webkinz remains strong. In recent years, former players have returned out of curiosity or longing. Social media posts revisiting old accounts, forgotten pets, and abandoned rooms have gone viral. Webkinz plush toys have become collectibles. The game is transformed from a living world into a digital artifact, a preserved snapshot of early internet childhood. Webkinz did not fail because it was poorly designed. It succeeded because it was perfectly designed for its moment. Its decline reflects how quickly technology and culture evolve, especially in spaces shaped by children. Childhood moves fast. Platforms that define one generation often disappear for the next. The story of Webkinz is ultimately about impermanence. Digital worlds feel permanent while we're inside of them, but they rely on attention, technology, and relevance. When those fade, even massive worlds shrink quietly. Webkinz did not vanish suddenly, it simply became a memory. For millions of people, that memory is powerful. Logging in after school, feeding pets before bed, decorating rooms late into the night, believing that Webkinz world would always be there. In that sense, Webkinz still exists, not as a cultural force, but as a shared experience that defined a moment in childhood and internet history. Like, comment, and subscribe for daily history and culture content.